We're catching up with Brian here at Gamescom to, well, you know, get the latest dirt on Forza 5. How's things shaping up? I know it's a stressful time for you guys. You have to take time out of the schedule to go here and show the game to us, but...
Well, we're lucky because we get to come to something like Gamescom and show off the game. The team back home are working feverishly to get this game done because, honestly, it's a launch game for Forza on a console. We've never done that before, and in many ways, this is our most ambitious game yet because I think when you think a lot of times you think about consoles, they usually have a racing game, but oftentimes the racing games are maybe a little bit smaller than what you expect when you think about a Forza Motorsport game. Isn't to say those games are bad, they're just not epic as you'd find with Forza 5. Forza 5 is an epic, it's a true Forza Motorsport game. And what does that mean? It means hundreds of cars, lots of tracks to play, lots of things to do in the game. But it also means innovation across a lot of different fronts. Like our graphics engine, we have a new physically based material system that allows the interior and the exterior of the cars and the environments themselves to really reflect light precisely the way it does in real life. And all of that's happening in 1080p resolution and 60 frames per second. In multiplayer, obviously multiplayer is a huge part of Forza. We're doing things like dedicated servers and smart match that make sure you're in really fast and fun multiplayer matches with the kinds of people you want to play against. Similar skill, similar temperament, not cheaters and jerks, you know what I'm talking about?
But yeah, and they get to play each other, right?
Yeah, if you're a cheater and a jerk, you'll be at home with a bunch of cheaters and jerks. It's fine, it's not a problem. But yeah, that's really the point, is that you're playing with people like you. Opponents. You know, back at E3 we announced Drivatars. Drivatar system essentially allows us to create real human behavior even when players aren't there. So you're racing against opponents that are based on the drivers that they were recorded from.
How does that work? Do you pull data live as you play, or is it pulled before the race, or how does it work?
It's a really great question because the cloud we're not using the cloud in the sense that it's minute to minute, every millisecond it's computing on something. Essentially, after a race is done, we're uploading that data into the cloud. And the cloud is thinking on it and computing that and essentially building those Drivatar profiles for every player, and then it sends it back down to your box. So it's not something that necessarily needs to happen every millisecond. It can happen on a schedule that's not as intensive for your bandwidth, but you can still take full advantage of the system.
But people have to go online at some point to get the advantage of that when they play it, even if they play it offline.
Right. I mean, we will have Drivatars in the game when you first play the game, but if you want to take advantage of building your own Drivatar profile and getting updated ones of your friends and family members, you're going to have to be online.
Cool. So something that I heard about, I'm not sure if it's true, but you're actually pushing it so far that you're going to have a pretty large content update as soon as you go online with the game. Is that the way you plan to roll it out? I
mean, there will definitely be content updates, you know, even just in terms of DLC, right? We've traditionally done DLC, so I don't exactly know precisely what our plans are for a content update, but I do know that, you know, months after Forza Motorsport 5 is released, we'll be doing things like DLC, content updates like that.
And I guess you know, somewhere along the lines you have that date. We know November is sort of the month where it's done. How do you sort of, because you can't have people test the game beforehand, like a beta or anything like that. Right. So how do you go about sort of like gauging things that you're trying out? Are you having a lot of focus tests and that sort of thing?
Certainly, we definitely use focus testing. That's important. You know, that's important for Forza. It's important for all games to understand how people are playing your game. But certainly, you know, you're right. The fact that this is an Xbox launch and not everybody has this console definitely poses its own challenges. But that just means that we have to be really accountable for the testing that we do internally and making sure that the game, again, is running at 60 frames per second throughout, and that all of the areas that we wanted to innovate are actually executing the way we had originally envisioned them.
So as a community manager, is sort of your role to sort of ease Forza 4 players over to, or Forza Horizon players over to Forza 5. What's the vibe right now in the community? And you know, you're probably the best man to ask what the crowd is feeling. Right
well,
now.
I can say that there's a lot of people who are excited about Forza 5. Of course, it's a new game, it's a new system. You know, there's a lot of things to look forward to. But what's really cool is that, you know, we still have thousands, you know, hundreds of thousands of people playing Forza 4. Right? A game from 2011. That's kind of one of the really interesting things about being on the Forza team, is that you have a game that people will play for years and years and years, not just because it's a massive game and there's lots of things to do, but because people just like it. And there's still lots and lots of people playing Forza Horizon. And we expect that to continue into the future, right? Just because Forza 5 is out doesn't mean we automatically forget that Forza 4 exists and even Forza 3 exists. So it's interesting. We want people to play whatever Forza game is right for them. Obviously, I'd love everybody to buy an Xbox One and play Forza Motorsport 5, but I know that's not necessarily realistic. So from a community standpoint, we're still going to be creating events in Forza Motorsport 4, still going to be doing monthly events in Forza Horizon, and when you're ready to come over to Forza 5, you're going to have a lot to do there as well.
Right. Sounds good. Thank you very much for your time.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.